So friends, in a new interview, President Biden just made clear that the world is watching and waiting for Donald Trump to be held accountable for January 6th. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, let's take on two related stories. And frankly, these stories don't paint an especially flattering picture of some of our federal law enforcement agencies. But as you probably know, I've always got to call it the way I see it. The first story involves a newly issued Senate committee report highlighting some of the failures of the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security in the run-up to and on January 6, 2021. This from NPR. Headline, FBI Homeland Security ignored massive amount of intelligence before January 6th, Senate report says. And that article begins, the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security downplayed or ignored a massive amount of intelligence information ahead of the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, according to the chairman of a Senate panel that on Tuesday is releasing a new report on the intelligence failures ahead of the insurrection. The report details how the agencies failed to recognize and warn of the potential for violence as some of then-President Donald Trump's supporters openly planned the siege in messages and forums online. Among the multitude of intelligence that was overlooked was a December 2020 tip to the FBI that members of the far-right extremist group Proud Boys planned to be in Washington, D.C. for the certification of Joe Biden's victory, and their, quote, plan is to literally kill people, close quote, the report said. The Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee said the agencies were also aware of many social media posts that foreshadowed violence, some calling on Trump's supporters to come armed and storm the Capitol, kill lawmakers, or burn the place to the ground. Now, Senator Gary Peters, the chairman of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, just appeared on MSNBC, and he discussed how the FBI and DHS missed, ignored, didn't take seriously posts like this one. This is not a rally, and it's no longer a protest. This is a final stand where we are drawing the red line at Capitol Hill. Don't be surprised if we take the Capitol building. And Senator Peters went on to say the following. At the same time people were actually scaling the walls at the Capitol, Homeland Security agents were debating back and forth whether we should classify this as a credible threat. It's unbelievable. And friends, we have to couple that with the recent reporting from the Washington Post. FBI resisted opening probe into Trump's role in January 6 for more than 1 year. And then, friends, to cap it all off, President Biden just sat for an interview with Nicolle Wallace, and listen to this unsurprising but still deeply troubling exchange. Nicolle Wallace, let me ask you about an institution that we spend a lot of time covering here, and that's the Justice Department. The Washington Post recently reported it took the Justice Department seeing Cassidy Hutchinson's public testimony, which was a year ago yesterday, to really focus on Trump and his innermost circle's role in the January 6 coup plot. You have awarded medals to Harry Dunn and Officer Fanone and others. Do they deserve to know why it took the Justice Department a year to open an investigation into the person that incited the insurrection. President Biden, look, I made a commitment that I would not in any way interfere with the Justice Department, who they prosecuted, if they prosecuted, how they proceed. I have not spoken once, not one single time with the Attorney General on any specific case, not once. But I do talk to him about law enforcement and all those other things. Question from Nicolle, Wallace. But when you talk about strengthening democracies at home and abroad, do other Democratic leaders want to know why the foot soldiers of the insurrection have been charged and prosecuted, but not the leader? President Biden's answer, well, the answer is yes. So friends, those world leaders saw the same evidence we all saw. Leaders of democracies around the world are asking President Biden, why? Why has the person who incited the insurrection not been held accountable? The person who launched an attack on American democracy, the person who tried to unlawfully and unconstitutionally retain the power of the presidency contrary to the expressed will of the American voters. Why has he not been held accountable? 2.5 years later. You know, it's a question we continue to ask ourselves every day. You know, why do our federal law enforcement agencies seem hesitant, reluctant, unable, or unwilling to hold accountable what I call the ruling class criminals? People of power and privilege, people of wealth and influence. You know, until that changes, I think we're going to be hard-pressed to achieve real reform, true reform, fundamental reform. Now, to be clear, I absolutely believe Jack Smith and his team of prosecutors will charge Donald Trump and his criminal associates for the insurrection. I just don't know that that alone will be enough to sort of move us in the direction of the reform that we pretty obviously need, right? I don't know that that alone will achieve or approach equal justice. And justice matters. Hang in there, friends. And as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.